Despite how weird Madagascar 1 is, it made quite a bit of money on its small budget, meaning that a sequel was worked on, and it looks like they went far away from all the problems that Madagascar 1 had, because Madagascar 2 is pretty good, if I do say so myself. One of the ways Madagascar 2 improves the original is having a more focused story. It actually realizes, okay, we'll make Alex the main character, not Marty like they did in the first movie. And they say, hey, maybe we'll make Alex the main character again. And yeah, we get a little bit of a backstory here. It turns out Alex had a family in Africa, but then he was kidnapped by some people, and he went up in New York. Though this is just an excuse to showcase the other characters as babies, I guess for marketability. For some reason, they made shorts about them as babies later on. Don't ask me why. Also, young Melman is voiced by Greg Heffley, so keep that in mind. So, King Julian's like, I want to go to New York because I want to conquer it. That's literally his character in this movie. He wants to conquer different lands and be a dictator, I guess. Oh well, they wanted to put this character in this movie because it was a fan favorite, but how else are they going to make this character appear in more of this movie? He's like, hey, he goes with them. And keep in mind, even though it's called Madagascar, this movie takes place, has 7 minutes in the actual country of Madagascar. Isn't that funny? So it turns out the plane isn't really well constructed because it immediately crashes. Actually, they don't die here, but they do confess that Alex broke Marty's iPod, which makes no sense, because how did he even have an iPod to begin with? And then Melman, of all characters, is like, I want to fuck Gloria. Like, it just comes out of nowhere. It's kind of fucking weird, but it's one of the main plot points of this movie. So they crash land in Africa, I guess the savannah of Africa, and there's a bunch of weird tour groups going on, and one of them has to be a character from the first movie. You remember this grandma who had like one little scene in the first movie? Well, yeah, she's on Savannah and she beats up everybody. And she's actually one of the main villains of this movie. I'm not even joking. They brought back the grandma to be one of the main antagonists. I don't really get it, but it's really, I guess this is funny, but it's really weird. While in Africa, Alex finds his old parents from, when he was a kid. And the reason they know they're related is because he has this birthmark that's for some reason shaped like Africa. That's a very oddly specific birthmark to have. Even though he didn't have this in the first movie, I don't know why they decided to put it on this hand, something that you could obviously see, but whatever. So all the animals hang out with their own kind. Marty finds zebras who are all voiced by Chris Rock, and they're about to make Spiral 2. Just kidding, Spiral 2 will never happen because that movie sucked. Melman decides to hang out with giraffes, and he's like, I'm going to be your doctor because you guys need help. And the most important one is Gloria and the hippos, because we get introduced to one of the best characters in any movie ever. So this extremely sexy hippo named Moto Moto wants to fuck Gloria because, as he claims, she's huge! That's it. He likes fat women. He has some great pickup lines here, by the way. I'm not joking. This character's pickup line is, "You're huge!" That's his pickup line. Unfortunately, this character is actually not in this movie for much of a screen time. When I rewatch it, it's like, wait, he's barely in this movie. This is the best character in the movie, and he's barely in it. Oh yeah, the penguins steal their vehicles so they can rebuild the plane, and all these people get stranded. And they actually try to kill an old lady. Well, yeah, so Alex has to do this ritual fight in order to become part of the pride, but he thinks it's a dance-off, and dances in front of everybody, because Alec Baldwin Lion tricked him. Yeah, this is one of the main villains, Alec Baldwin Lion. Technically not the biggest DreamWorks villain that he plays, because he plays Boss Baby later on, and that's a horrible character, but So Alex has parental issues, because his dad gets mad that he's not a real lion, because he doesn't know how to fight. Also, he got, exited from his group, I guess, kicked out, and that makes them all angry. Also, Marty gets mad at Alex because he thought this other zebra was him, because they sound alike and look exactly alike, And for some reason, this zebra was sitting in the same airplane like it was a friend to everybody, but just now the regular Marty comes and this guy's like, huh, you thought I was him? Even though for some reason he was sitting in the same plane seat earlier with the rest of the Madagascar gang. So it makes no sense. Like, why was this one random zebra sitting there? It doesn't make any sense. Also, I guess it's a joke that you can't figure them out, and this is like a big turning point, I guess, in their relationship. It's kind of stupid, to be honest. It sounds as dumb as I am explaining it. So Melman wants to die, or he thinks he's dying, but he wants to fuck Gloria, and King Julian gives him some great advice. Melman then rudely interrupts Gloria's date with Motomoto, who's trying to get some ass, but, you know, he wants to, like, I treat her right. I want to treat her right because I'm a giraffe and I can fuck a hippo, I guess. It's really dumb. Also, Marty's not mad at Alex anymore because I guess he figured out which zebra he was. And that's the end of that subplot. Marty does barely anything in this movie. I guess he was too busy making Spiral. Anyway, the next big plot point is the humans who got stranded here decide to make a dam, which makes sure that the water is not on the reserve anymore. So they have to go destroy this dam. But Alex gets captured by them. There's also this weird subplot where Melman wants to kill himself in order to bring back water, some weird sacrifice thing. It's kind of dumb. There's way too many subplots in this movie. It's one of the biggest problems with the movie, but everything it's still very funny and entertaining, so I'll give it that, even though some of the subplots go on for way too long. So in order to get the humans not to eat him, I guess, he has to do a dance-off, which is pretty beat. So in a really insane finale, they destroy the dam with the old lady on top of it by flying a plane into it, and I guess it works. Yeah, that grandma's still alive, and she decides to attack the Alec Baldwin lion for some reason, because he has his purse. He gets really beat the shit out for some reason. So that's the end of the movie. They decide to stay in Africa after they saved everybody from their water drought. And I guess they decided that they can wait to go to New York, I guess, even though there's really no reason to go to New York. Because the other three of the characters really don't have any desire, and the one, Alex, who really wanted to go back to New York, found his family. So, yeah, it makes no sense for them wanting to go back to New York. But hey, it ends like this, and we unfortunately got a sequel after this movie. Madagascar Escape to Africa actually gets a pretty high rating for me, mostly from when I watch it. Now, talking about, like, there's a lot of things that don't make sense, but watching it, it's actually a pretty entertaining experience. It goes by pretty quick, and it's mostly self-contained. There's a little bit too many subplots that don't make a lot of sense. The whole Gloria and Melman subplot is just really weird, and Marty doesn't do anything in the movie. But everything with Alex is actually pretty good, and that's most of the movie. And I didn't mention the Penguin subplot, but that's also pretty funny. There's a little bit too much going on, but it's all entertaining, and it feels like they try to develop the characters a little bit more. Even if some of them don't really work, like the Melman and Gloria relationship is just pretty bad. They don't really have a good connection at all, even if they try to. Even the third movie, they barely focus on that, because that's how little connection they really have. It's just it's a very odd movie, but them going to Africa, it makes sense. This would have been a better ending for this franchise, because, you know, it seems self-sufficient. Like, if Madagascar 3 was the second one, and this was the third one, I feel like it made more sense. Also, the title's a lie, Madagascar. The first one, they go to Madagascar. Here, they're in Madagascar for like 5 minutes. So, they do escape to Africa, so I guess that's part of it, but the Madagascar part is just very odd, with the sequels, but hey. Madagascar Escape to Africa is in the A tier, right below Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were Rabbit, and above Ants. It's a movie I really like watching, and even though it has a lot of plot flaws, it's just very entertaining and fun to watch, that you don't really care. They make the characters a little bit better, even if some of their subplots go nowhere. And it's more focused overall, even if it has way too many subplots. So yeah, that's why Madagascar 2, despite its flaws, goes in the A tier, even though it probably belongs in the B or maybe C tier from a technical standpoint because of how messy all the plot points are. But I just really like watching. Every time I watch it, I have a good time, so I can't really give it anything lower than that. But I can't give it a perfect score either. While the villains aren't the best part of Madagascar 2, they are definitely a giant improvement on the first movie, whose Fusas were such a non-entity that they are probably going to remain at the bottom of the tier list for just how little the impact they have. We got two villains, simply speaking. A returning character who is basically one of the main villains, and a new character. We got Granny and I guess Alec Baldwin Lion, who I both ranked in B tier because they are very entertaining, but not anything spectacular. Alec Baldwin Lion actually has some funny lines, but he just reminds me of a crappy version of Scar overall, or the Lion King. That's what I get from his character. It works, but isn't getting enough development. Like I said, I wish they didn't have so many characters in Madagascar because it could have focused more on better plot elements. So in the other alternate universe, his character would be a lot higher, but here he's just okay. Granny's funny, but ultimately like a really weird villain, especially since she's a returning character from the first movie. It feels very weird just to have a character who had like one scene in the first movie come back and it's like, oh yeah, she's the main villain. But yeah, she has some funny lines, and that's about it. So yeah, next time we are unfortunately going away from the good movies and watching a bad movie before we go back into good movies. Yeah, so in 2009 there's one bad movie, but in 2010 we have 3 good movies. So unfortunately next time we're looking at Monsters vs. Aliens. See you then.